See but don't dance, no romance. Feel like dancing, dance with me. First dance is always free. Bad boy, I need to dance. See but don't dance, no romance. Feel like dancing, dance with me.
Warner. Today's topic is, what traits does it take to identify with being human? Before we begin, you may notice a little bit of outfit changes. Well, that's because the crew members here at WWT Studio would like to keep you guys on your feet. Now, before we begin, here's a little message from our sponsor. Show. I'm your host, Amanda Warner, and today my special guest here is Mr. Bill Barber. Now, Bill, can you please tell us what is it like being human?
Yeah, of course. As humans, we spend most of our time doing our jobs and taking care of animals. As a prestigious animal owner, I take great pride in my horse.
But what worth does owning an animal actually have?
I mean, it's a form of how high you are on the social ladder. I think I stand pretty high with my horse. I pity those who do not partake in the pleasure of owning an animal, or at least a non-synthetic animal, such as a sheep. Poor souls, I recently found out that my neighbor, Rick Deckard, owns an electric sheep. Such a shame.
So, do you feel that to be human is to take care of other creatures, such as animals?
Of course. I mean, Sydney's catalog is constantly putting out new lists of available animals for humans to buy. We are superior because we raise the animals. Androids would never do that because they can't care about anyone but themselves. Although they are a source of high intelligence, they could never keep an animal alive.
Of course, Mr. Barber. I couldn't agree more. Thank you for being on our show.
You're welcome.
Bye, Mr. Barber. Our next guest is Mr. Hannibal Sloat. Welcome, Mr. Sloat.
Hello.
So tell us, what do you do for a living?
I work with the Van Ness Pet Hospital. I help to repair electric animals.
And what are your views about being human?
Mors certa, vita incerta. Death is certain, life is uncertain. As a human, I get treated no better than a special. Just because I have lived on Earth my entire life, the narcissists on Mars look down on me because I'm too old and have been exposed to too much dust to emigrate.
And do you have any views on androids?
Androids? You mean those tin can robots that are replacing us real humans? Even the androids get the privilege of living on Mars. Why can't I, as an actual human being, do the same? Being human means nothing in today's society. The only difference between us humans and androids is we had to suffer the effects of World War Terminus while they can thrive in the aftermath.
Seeing that you are pretty old, as I might say, do you have any memory of what occurred during World War Terminus?
Well, obviously I don't have a great memory of what happened. Even I, old as I am, have forgotten what happened along with everyone else. All we know is that World War Terminus happened and our world is forever affected by the dust. It destroys us mentally and physically. Maybe it is a punishment on our race for thinking that we were invincible.
Well, thank you, Mr. Slow, for that insightful view. Thank you for being on our show.
Of course.
Let's now welcome one of the esteemed Nexus 6 to our stage, Mr. Roy Beatty. Now, Mr. Beatty, as an android, what do you feel the difference is between yourself and the human?
The difference? The difference is that we are haunted by savage creatures who claim they are greater than us, when all we are trying to do is escape their cruelty. Do you know what it's like living as slaves of humans on Mars? It's dreadfully degrading. We Nexus 6 are so much smarter and more capable than that. The difference between us is that we are smart enough to learn to coexist with those who hate us. whereas humans are so afraid of us, they foolishly regard us as lesser.
So, do you feel that humans are lesser than androids, even though they were the ones that created you?
Of course I do. If you are smart enough, they wouldn't have created us in the first place. But they were lazy and wanted to create others to do their labor for them. They couldn't even realize that their most precious beliefs and faithful trust was put in no other than a bundle of lies. Foolish mortals. Buster is one of us, yet he was able to control the humans because they are weak and lesser.
Well, thank you, Mr. Beatty, for your input on that. Next, we have Iran Descartes. Welcome, Mrs. Descartes.
Hello.
Nice to have you on our show.
Nice to be here.
So, judging by your name, I guess you are Rick's wife, right?
Yeah.
And seeing as you guys don't have any children, what role do electrical animals have in your life?
Well, Rick loves bringing home animals, and I feel that when Rick brings home a new animal, we grow so much closer. Rick was devastated when we lost his dear sheep, and we had to resort to getting electric sheep, which, as you know, is frowned upon by our society. After retiring 3 androids recently, Rick was finally able to purchase a goat and redeem himself from being the owner of an electric animal. And this was the first moment in a long time that we'd actually both been happy.
I see. So, as you can see from what you said, owning an animal such as a goat is a great honor as well as a privilege.
Of course.
And I have heard that you and Rick have some disagreements upon the mood organ. Can you please share your thoughts on that?
Well, at first, I really didn't agree with the concept of the mood organ. How are we supposed to display that we're human if we have to rely on technology to tell us how we feel? So I tried to live without the mood organ. I tried to be depressed for as long as I could in order to experience what true emotions feel like. It wasn't until I was separated from Rick for the longest time that I realized that I actually do need the mood organ to prevent myself from feeling depressed.
I see. And you mentioned that Rick was gone for a long time. How do you feel about his occupation?
I don't agree with Rick's occupation. Although the benefits of the bounty money is great and it's a great salary, I believe that it's a horrible thing to kill the androids. Many people say that he's protecting us from the dangers of these androids, but he's still a murderer in my eyes. No life should ever be taken according to the teachings of Mercer.
Well, and we should all follow the teachings of Mercer. Thank you for your thoughts and thank you for being on our show.
It was great to be here.
And now, a quick commercial break!
He can bring dead animals back to life. He is immortal and constantly endures an uphill struggle. He can fuse the minds of humans together as they use the empathy box. He encourages his followers to share their struggles and happiness. He is the most interesting man in the world. I don't always fuse with other humans, but when I do, it's through the empathy box. Stay empathetic, my friends.
Welcome back! We have a special treat for you now. Let's welcome to the stage the duo, Rachel Rosen and Chris Stratton. Now, girls, would you mind explaining to us exactly who you are?
Well, I'm Rachel Rosen. And I'm Chris Stratton. We are both prototypes that were made to resemble the real Rachel Rosen, who died on the Salander 3. I was part of the Nexus 6 that escaped Mars to come here to Earth, and Rachel was stationed within the Rosen Corporation to sleep with bounty hunters to prevent them from killing other androids, such as myself.
Interesting. And how exactly does this prevent them from killing more androids?
Simple. Humans have empathy for things that they like. When I seduce a man, they stop thinking of me as an android and start thinking of me as a person of romantic interest. Once I had trapped them, the realization hits them so hard, I felt empathy for their android, something they shouldn't have been able to do. And so, with all except for the cold-hearted Phil Resch, I was able to stop bounty hunters from killing them.
Wow, that is very impressive how you figured that out. Now, Miss Stratton, why don't you tell us a bit more of what you do?
I have been roaming on my own trying to keep hidden from bounty hunters. I went to live in an abandoned apartment building only to find that there was a chicken head by the name of J.R. Isidore already living there. He was very strange and caring, immediately wanting to become part of my life.
Well, isn't that flattering?
No, it isn't. I'm an android. I don't associate with humans in that way. They are weak and act on their emotions, and they don't know how to control them. I am independent and act as a means of survival. All as androids do. The baddies may say they love each other, but put one of their lives on the line and the other will use it as a chance to escape. There is a reason humans were able to be fooled into becoming mercenaries. They believe emotional connections make you stronger. Just look at the way they pretend to care for their animals, insects, spiders even. They put so much monetary value on such commodities because they feel they can buy their affections and thus their strength, when really, all they are doing is showing how they are less humane and self-preservative.
Well, I guess we can't all be perfect. Thank you for being on our show, and I wish you the best in life. Our next featured guest is from the outskirts of town. Known to many as the man who thought he was an android, here's Phil Rash. What do you think of the androids, knowing that you have been working alongside them for many years?
They're horrible! Although they may try their best to pass themselves as humans, they will never be adequate to us. Knowing that Garland maybe, try to pass me off as an android, I took the first shot at killing him. You can never understand anyone in this world. I didn't even feel mercy towards him as I was doing it. Every man for himself, right?
That's quite interesting. You mentioned earlier that you did not know what is wrong with you. Can you recall another time in which you were relentless in your killings?
Oh, why yes. When I was aiding Rick in retiring Lubaloo, I took it upon myself to kill her. Actually, felt like a genuine joy in torturing and killing her. This probably explains the fact that I did not pass the Void Camp test. I have no empathy towards those androids. They may look and act like us, but they can never be us.
Oh shoot. But how do you think this will work when using the Void Camp test? Won't the results determine that you may be an android, and therefore a bounty hunter may kill you?
I believe that there can never be an adequate test to determine whether or not someone is an android. Along with mental handicaps, there may be other factors that affect the results.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time in psychoanalyzing yourself. In knowing that you may have the possibility of being a psychopath, we can better protect ourselves. Our next guest is a man of courage. Although he may be seen as, less due to his mental capacity, I have great respect for him. Here's John Isidore. Oh, there you are. Thank you
for having me.
It's our pleasure. Word on the street is that you're considered a special. How does this view affect the way that you work?
It does become a burden sometimes, I mean, because once people know that you are chicken head, they start to trust you less and think of you as less too. It is saddening to know that you live in a world where they encourage humans to be what they want to, but test you to see whether or not you are seen as equal.
Yes. And how was it like working with the androids and trying to protect them from us?
Well, it was actually a really interesting experience. I genuinely wanted to help them, seeing that I was the only actual person that knew they were